Welcome to the Summoner Showdown, the AfterShow. This year, there have been thrills and spills galore with a few controversial moments thrown in for good measure as well. Join us as we discuss all that and more with our special guests. Because as the saying goes, happiness leads to anger, anger leads to the Metal Sonic Dude. Alright, so let's welcome Happy to the stage, and without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Hello, Happy, how are you? Welcome
Going on, man?
to the After
It's good
Show.
to be here.
All right, sounds sweet. So, this year you came back with a vengeance. We saw your massive, massive win at the Summoner Showdown. Tell us, what did it feel like to qualify back to back and go on to win the biggest prize of all?
Yeah, it was a bit of an interesting show this year. Of course, it felt good to be back this year. Last year, I was so close to getting the victory. I lost by one hit, so it was good to be able to make it back this year and make it to the finals and win it all.
All right, yes, well said indeed. We all witnessed what happened last year, and it was such a pity. As you can see in, or rather, I think you would agree, in such big competitions, even the smallest, tiniest things make a huge difference, don't they?
Absolutely. Just one small slip up can be the end to everything. That one mistake was the game changer.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, could you tell us immediately after you notice, because of that mistake that allowed anger to take the whole competition? What was going through your mind then? What were you telling yourself?
Yeah, before the matchups, I thought I would have had it locked up because I thought I had the faster matchup. I thought Warlock could handle that vision faster than his Quake can handle that Ghost. Um, and I actually would. I think my fight was overall the faster fight, but I got hit one too many times, and that ended up costing me the victory.
That's right, that's right. I think last year's scoring parameters that was down to, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was down to the damage or hits taken, something like that, right? Rather than timing, which took precedence.
Yeah, if you got hit, then the hits mattered more than the time in that specific scenario.
Exactly. Which brings me to this year's competition. I think based on what we encountered, hits didn't matter actually in this year's competition, did they?
Yeah, the hits definitely didn't matter. It was an interesting way they chose to do the scoring this year.
Hmm.
Um, apparently, if you die first, you get more points for some reason. Um, yeah, I don't know what that was about.
I have no idea as well, man. I was completely taken aback because I was actually the recipient of a dubious call. All right, which allowed me to take my round. But we'll be getting back into that particular discussion later on in this show. But first up, for now, what were your emotions and thoughts heading into all the fights for this year's competition?
Of course, after last year, I was a bit disappointed, so I wanted to come back and redeem that loss. So I was pretty motivated to get back in there and try to do my best. And well, I felt like I did a pretty good job. So yeah.
And definitely you did. You did, as we could all see. All right, remember the commentators saying that for some of the fights with your vision, you weren't even trying. It seemed as if you weren't even trying. But tell us, were you really trying 100% or were you just trying
I
to
was
put on a good show, entertaining show?
Yeah, I was definitely trying this year. The nodes were a bit crazy in that semifinals. I knew I really had to lock down their power because you know, as we saw, that can become a huge issue, especially with some of the AI issues and all types of issues
That's
going on.
right.
So
That's right.
I,
That's
I
right.
I really needed to stack up my deck with power control, and vision was my best option throughout the whole tournament.
Exactly. And that was a won't even say a splendid call. That was the perfect option. And because of that, we all saw what a show you put on with Vision, and I'm sure it made quite a few viewers realize that he's pretty much an oldie but goodie, a character that's really slept on a lot. But when used in the right matchups and the right situations, he can be the perfect counter, as we all witnessed.
Absolutely. He's pretty underrated nowadays. Nobody really thinks of him too often anymore. He's at least OG Vision is not super common as a 6 star, but Vision Age of Ultron, he gets slept on a little bit, and I was happy to show off his potential in those fights.
All right, and I'm sure we're all glad you did as well, because I mean, him being slapped on and all that means, most of us wouldn't really think to use him in such situations. And not only that, most of us won't even think of ranking him up to, let's say, if we have a 6 star to rank 3. But would you? Would you in your main account, or do you have him in your main account as a rank 3? That's the question right now.
I do not have him as a rank 3 right now, although I'm considering doing it now after he pretty much carried me throughout the whole thing. So yeah, I feel like he's deserved that rank up now.
Yep, yep, yep. What rank is he currently right now in your account?
He's sitting at rank 1, so
All right,
maybe I was sleeping
at
on him
least rank
too.
2, at least 2, right?
Yeah, at
After
least
that,
rank 2. He's earned that.
he's in it for sure. All right, on to the next question. Which fight this year, just one fight, which fight stood out for you the most?
I actually think my favorite one was the Punisher 2099 fight. That fight went the smoothest. I think that fight uh went pretty perfectly. There was no hiccups, no anything. I don't think I took a single hit in that one. And that fight I think was my fastest fight overall too. So I think that one was probably my favorite one.
Yep, yep, yep. Pretty much the ultimate showcase of his battery abilities, as well as I think throughout the whole fight it's just a case of it went so smoothly, just SP1 after SP1 after SP1 to keep him on lockdown, and pretty much yeah, just after you basically threw the SP1, the first one, the whole fight was over.
Absolutely. And Collar Tech came in clutch there. He's he's another one of those that I think people really sleep on,
Mm,
especially with the Collar Tech mastery. It's an underrated mastery, and he already has pretty good power control without that, but with that, he just completely shuts them down. They can't get any power.
yep, yep, yep. And depending on the matchup as well, if I'm not wrong, if you want to throw in an SP2, you can dish out quite a bit of damage as well, depending on the situation to speed up the fight.
Yeah, yeah. I threw in one SB2 in that one to speed that one up, and yeah, I was able to just get it down before my battery ran out.
Yep, super long armor breaks. I like it. Just love it. All right. Okay, so in winning 2021, you've surely got a huge target on your back right now. Please give us a sneak peek into what preparations you're going to be doing to ward off any would be challenges to your throne in 2022. So, first up, how would you or how do you prepare for any big competitions?
So at this point with the game, they're constantly adding new champions, they're reworking new champions, so many new abilities and interactions to be aware of. I think the biggest thing is just, keeping up with it all and really making sure you don't get caught off guard with some crazy abilities. And I imagine next year's competition will probably look a bit different with a lot of the new champions and new reworks coming up.
Mm, I agree completely. It's really easy to get overwhelmed by the current state of the game right now, with all the newer champions, long descriptions. It's like reading an essay sometimes, and after that, you've even got to go and test them out against our favorite punching bag, Winter Soldier. But yeah, so if you don't do both things, read up as well as try them out, all the champions, you can get caught off guard, I would say. Uh, and touching on that as well, next year's competition, I think if they choose to still base it on the implemented by then, of course, hopefully implemented and smoothly running new game mode, a new competitive game mode, I think a lot of would be challenges as well for next year's comp would be well attuned to this game mode that we were so called the guinea pigs for. So, what would you
Yeah.
say is the preparation that's needed to compete at the highest level for next year, with all things that were mentioned, the new game mode, getting used to the champion, knowing the champion almost at your fingertips as well? Wouldn't you say, how important would you say that is?
I think it's very important to keep up with all that. You know, when I started playing this game, like I started playing it right when it came out, 2014, I believe. The game was a lot different. There wasn't any masteries. There was only a few champions in the game, and you know their abilities were like they had like one ability per special attack, and it was all very simple. Now, like you said, it's like reading a whole essay and trying to decipher all that. It gets to be a lot. So yeah, you really got to keep on top of it all.
Yep, yep, yep. That's right. Which sometimes leads to some people I've heard in the community taking a step back, going into semi-retirement mode because it all gets a bit too much sometimes.
Absolutely. I know I've done that a few times, and it's good to do that every once in a while to try to recharge your battery before you inevitably get sucked back in, because it's inevitable. You probably will be back.
Yep, 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 for sure. We are too heavily invested in this right now. All right, so next one is how would you uh prepare, let's say, or rather during the actual competition itself, right? Uh, how would you improvise if things don't go according to plan?
Oh, I feel like it's always good to have a backup plan. This year, since power control was so important, I pretty much had like I went like pretty much 50-50 with like half of them being like defenders and then the other half was like all power control. And if they had even any little amount of power control, I threw them in there, anything that can deal with that crazy power gain and those unblockable specials. And yeah, you really need to have something to counter those nodes because they were pretty crazy.
Yep, 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 they were. So, yeah, I saw your roster selection. It was pretty much with those things, all things considered, your roster selection from the snake draft. It was pretty much, I would say, the perfect choice. You got everything taken care of. Everything was addressed, like you said, for power control and for the defenders, annoying defenders wise. You also took care of that as well. So yeah, when when selecting your roster, did you actually have a certain game plan in mind going into it, like a preset game plan? And along the way, when you saw your opponents or your opponent choosing his, did we actually get to see our opponents choosing their roster in real time, or no? We only got to see what they selected after.
Yeah, we were given an opportunity to ban champions out of their deck, but we didn't see them put that together. I think we did that beforehand. But yeah, yeah.
So during that time, did you go in with a certain game plan, like you're gonna select this, 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 if the choice comes up, or did you just change your mind? Tell us during the selection period, did you change your mind at any time, based on what you initially want to select? To select.
Yeah, there was a few on the fly adjustments. I think on one of my matchups, I think they had a spider ham in their chosen champions, and I didn't want to place like let's say a Dormammu down or something like that that I feel like he actually could handle relatively well. So I pretty much had to pull that back, and he ended up placing it for me to fight. I think I fought him with Spider-Man 2099, and that fight didn't go great. I timed out in that one, but after that I was able to place those champions. I was able to place my Mojo, I believe.
Hmm. I see. I see. Yes. So we gotta improvise when we gotta improvise. That's the key. All right.
Absolutely.
Next one. What would you say is the single most important mindset one should adopt when competing at the very highest level?
Um, I'd say just trying to stay calm and composed because if you if you get too nervous, you can end up making a mistake, and well, like I made last year and threw that special two right into the block, and yeah, that's never good. So I'd say just trying to stay composed.
Oh, I see, I see. So it's good to hear from you right now regarding that one incident that messed up everything for you. So that was a case of your nerves giving in at a point in time, which caused the SP2 to be delayed by a split second or a fraction of a second into the block.
Yeah, I believe so. At the time, I didn't know what happened. Like
You were in the moment, lah. Yeah, yeah. So in the
yeah, I
moment,
was
right?
so shocked when he blocked it. Like it was insane. But yeah, I guess maybe my nerves got the better of me in that one.
All right, all right. Yeah, I mean, they tend to get this happens to everyone, I would say, even to the best of us, which of course is you. Through your fights this year, I basically came up with this moniker. I would like to give you the title of not only World Summoner 2021, but also the Stone Cold Killer. That is Happy McMuffins. Pretty apt, I would say, because you hail from Texas, Austin, Texas. Do you, or which part of Texas do you hail from?
I'm in Houston right now.
Houston, Texas, but close enough. As we know, WWE fans out there, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he hails from Austin, Texas. So I think that's a pretty good moniker to describe you, especially after what we witnessed this year. Stone Cold
Hey,
Killer,
that
Happy McMuffins.
that sounds good. I'll take it.
All right. Okay, so next up, what advice would you give? Of course, I wouldn't expect you to give completely sound advice, though. But yeah, what advice would you give to players wanting to take their game to the next level in preparation for competitions like this?
It really just practice. Like it, it, it all comes with time. I've been playing this game for so long. I feel like you you really just need to learn every champion's abilities and get good at evading each special and trying to really master every fight to the best of your abilities.
That's right. That's right. I completely agree. So both knowledge and skill are equally important, is what you're saying.
Definitely.
So regarding yeah, talking about very quickly before I move on to the next segment, specials, evading specials. That's one thing that you brought up. Getting good at evading the specials. So how about those specials like sometimes that can't be evaded? What can we do then? Let the viewers know. What can we do for those specials that try as we might because of the inbuilt mechanics, how they work, we just can't evade them. What can we do?
Well, of course, the number one way to handle that would be power control with
Ah, exactly.
divisions, of course, and punish the 2099s. But of course, there are other champions that can get around those specific special attacks. Spider Gwen, Miles Morales, if he's not bugged, of course.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'd say those would be uh, good options to consider.
Yep, yep, yep. So, all right, for those listening out there, I mean, I'm sure a lot in the community would know by now, but if you know you're going up against anyone with an unevadable special and it's unblockable, do choose someone like Happy mentioned to counter them. We'll be getting to the Miles Morales bug in the next segment as well, coming up soon. So, all right. So first up first, we've seen you in action. We've seen how you've dominated the competition this year and took home the ultimate prize. But right now, we would like to know Happy, the person, instead of Happy, the MCOC god. So let us know more about yourself. Like, uh, what are your other hobbies in real life?
Well, these days I don't get too much free time, and of course the game eats up a whole lot of it. But I enjoy sports and movies and things like that.
All right, all right. And for that first, what sports team did you support?
I'm actually a New York Knicks fan,
New York Knicks,
which
eh?
is
Well, but you live in Texas.
yeah, I know that's it's definitely interesting being down here
But
and in Rocket Country.
I see, I see. But you go, of course, you go where your heart takes you, definitely. In terms of movies, which movie would you say is your number one top movie of all time? Let's start with, of course, an MCU movie first, and then we'll go on to any movie in general. So, what takes the cake, or what takes the number one spot for the number one MCU movie?
MCU. I'd say my top MCU movie is probably Infinity War. I'd say that's my favorite one.
All right, and was a really fitting conclusion to the to everything that was leading up to the ultimate battle with Thanos at the end. Or rather,
Absolutely.
no, sorry, you're talking about Infinity War. I was actually referring to Endgame. I got a gaff there. But
Yeah,
it was still quite an epic battle, although I think you would agree that that ended on quite a sad note. I think the intention was to make that movie sort of resemble The Empire Strikes Back, wouldn't you say so? Where it led into the next movie where the heroes were able to redeem themselves and allow everything to end on a good note.
absolutely. It definitely ended on a bit of a downer. But yeah, in the sequel they were able to turn it back around.
Exactly. Just like yeah, in essence, it would have resembled 2020 for you and 2021 for you, second and third movie. A
Definitely.
bit of a downer, but ultimate redemption. All right. Okay, so what's your number one movie of all time then? You can include MCU movies as well if that's going to be the same choice, but you can include movies outside of the MCU genre, superhero genre.
Number one movie all time. Um, that's tough. There's a lot of movies.
Just one, just
Um,
one. First thing that comes to your mind, your gut feeling.
Pulp Fiction.
That's a good one. Quentin Tarantino, right? That's a classic. In fact, that was released, I think, early or mid 90s, if I'm not wrong. Yeah,
In early 90s, I believe.
yeah, but that was a real classic. That was what I think for the younger viewers out there who haven't seen any Quentin Tarantino movies, go and check that out. That was what basically established him as one of the go-to directors for movies of this genre. Um, Yeah, so you've really got to check it out. It's really worth a watch. All right, so next up, who's your favorite actor or singer?
Favorite actor. Um,
One of the
I don't
best
know.
acting chops.
Best acting. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here.
As just go with your heart, man. Just go with your heart. First actor that comes to mind, just shoot.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert
You
Downey
know,
Jr.
Iron Man, MCU.
I couldn't
There we
agree
go.
more, man. I couldn't agree more. I mean, because of him, we got what we have today. Simply put, if he didn't put in a good audition, didn't put in a good performance as Iron Man, basically we wouldn't have what we have today in the MCU. So we have all we've got to
Yes.
thank him for all of that, basically. Yeah, all right. Okay, so I completely agree. Robert Downey Jr. He is the man. Okay, so very quickly right now, just very vaguely, of course, it's a very private question, so we'll keep it at that. But what do you do for studies or for a living?
Um, I think I can say that I'm in sales.
All right, all right. So I can attest to sales. The money's pretty good though, but it can be quite tiring and quite a demanding job as well. You would have to put 100% into it. So
Definitely.
kudos to being in sales. It's not easy, man. It's not easy. I've done it once before in my life. All right. So next up, so after let's say a long and hectic day or long and hectic week, what would you do to rest, relax, and re-energize yourself to get yourself ready for what's coming up next?
Um, well, nowadays, like I don't play MCOC as often as I used to. I used to put way more hours into grinding the arena and playing, but nowadays I've kind of taken a bit of a step back. But I'd say yeah, just you know. playing MCOC. I think I have quite a bit of fun playing.
All right, all right. So that's like your so-called happy place from time to time. No pun intended, though. All right. So the other thing is, what would you say to people? What advice would you have for people who are, a little bit burnt out by what's happening in the game nowadays, as well as maybe if in real life stuff catches up? What would you say to them? Would it be good to, like as we mentioned earlier, take a step back, or even go for, a long overdue, months long or several months long retirement, and then come back feeling refreshed? Get things settled in real life first.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like whenever you're feeling burnt out, I feel like you definitely need to take a bit of a break. Um, I feel like it's never good to just play this game that often. This game can definitely eat away a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a second job. So never good to force yourself to play just for the sake of playing, right?
Absolutely.
All right, all right. Okay, so last but not least, in terms of the personal questions right now, uh, what or how would you describe your life in Texas? As in, what's Texas really like for those of us who haven't been down to the that state in the U.S. I myself must admit I haven't been down to Texas, let alone the U.S. Yet. I do hope to go soon in the future. But tell us, what's life really like in Texas?
Pretty good. I can't complain. It is pretty hot down here. Me, I'm more of a cold weather person. I'm not really too fond of the heat of Texas, but yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good place to live. It's
Mm,
pretty fun.
are there like what's fun to do there? What's fun to do there in that case? Number one fun
Uh,
activity for Happy.
um, yeah, just you know, I like to play basketball. I like to go down to the gym and shoot some hoops.
I see, I see. Yep, always good to stay healthy, fit and healthy. All right, tell me one thing. I've always seen on TV and the movies that Texas has like lots of cowboys all over the place. Is that the case there, or is that a stereotype that they only portray on television and movies?
Um, I'd say it can be relatively accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I imagine yeah, there's a few here and there.
But it's not a case of everybody going around yee-hawing. That's too stereotypical already, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely not.
So they're just keeping it real, just only dressing up with a cowboy hat and just going about their daily business as any normal person, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, all right. Okay, so we've now reached the next segment, ladies and gentlemen. Based on the previous three iterations, looking ahead to next year's competition, what would you like to see being implemented? What elements have worked for you, and what haven't?
Uh, well, this year obviously the scoring system was not the greatest. Um, I definitely feel like there's absolutely no way that you should be punished for lasting longer in a fight. I believe that they should do away with that. Um, Moving to the qualifiers, I feel like this year the qualifiers, I wasn't a fan of how they handled that. I feel like um, I think week one Hercules was the best option for it, and of course I didn't have Hercules as a 5 star. I think that they should probably um, make it more inclusive, like maybe 4 stars as it was last year, or maybe even 3 stars would be better. But yeah, and of course, not have as many bugs and input issues. That would help also.
All right, all right. So exactly, you touched on quite a few things over there. So first up, let's talk about the Hercules mention. As a 5 star, number one, not many people would have him, and number two, especially those free-to-play players. Not many people would have the resources, the gold, the rank up materials to bring him to rank 5 to compete. So exactly, I completely agree. If you open him up as, or rather did it like in 2020, using 4 stars or 3 stars, that would make it a way cheaper experience for everyone involved, so that at least you can really give it a shot. You know, uh, talking about the scoring, yeah. I mean, in what world would the I mean, I myself included, I shouldn't have taken that round of Yentau's because I died faster. So, in what world should anybody be rewarded for not lasting as long in a really difficult fight? I don't see how that works out. That just goes beyond logic, you know. I after realizing what happened to me, because actually I thought I lost at first, and I was so surprised that I won, which affected actually my fight going into Abdo's portion. Was so mentally affected by my loss that I completely lost my composure, and performed really badly with Doom against Mojo. But upon reflection, I was trying to make sense of it. Happy, let me know as well. How is this logical? In what world does this seem right? And what could we have done, behind the scenes to ensure that if they were going for this kind of scoring method, how could we have given feedback to them?
Yeah, I don't know. I know on a few of my matches as well in the semifinals, I was very confused on how I was given the victory, being as I died faster than they did, and they took more health off the opponent than I did, but I was somehow given the victory. Um, as far as what can be done differently, I don't know. I feel like perhaps if we were given like, an opportunity to maybe do some, test fights beforehand, try out the mode, a few matches here and there to try to really see if there's any issues. Of course, we could have maybe avoided a lot of this if we went up against that AI. We could have immediately noticed like, hey, something's not right here. But yeah, I'd say just being able to try a few fights out beforehand would help.
Mm, I think that would have definitely helped with the feedback that we would have given to them. And they could maybe have tweaked the AI to be more aggressive, a little bit more, be more responsive, more cooperative. Because I'm sure you would agree that this year's showdown compared to last year's showdown, it lost that overall that wow factor, that factor of entertainment. It was quite a chore, I must say, even for me, competing and then watching it on demand. It was quite cringe, some fights. Just go in, SP3, go out. It's a complete waste of our viewers' time. All right, you want to be entertained when you watch such a competition, and I must apologize to the viewers once again if you were not entertained. That was completely out of my control, out of our control. Sometimes the fight just goes like that because of the AI. But feedback in this case would have helped a lot, as well as just to let the viewers know as well. This year compared to last year, would you say that the time frame in getting everything done together was quite short? It was quite squeezed together. It was like rushed compared to last year, where it was pretty spread out, and we had things to, or time rather, to get everything together and feedback to them as well.
Definitely. Last year was a lot more drawn out. It was like, a few weeks of just like, you know, planning and we did our picks and bans and then we did the fights on this day and it was a lot more drawn out. This year it was a very quick turnaround. It seemed like they were in a bit of a rush this year.
Mm.
But, yeah, I feel like definitely maybe I imagine it probably had something to do with the issues that were going on in game, having to delay the showdown maybe, affected things, but, yeah, I feel like, yeah.
Yep, yep, yep. It was still quite a rush job. So yeah, I think that could have been done better. Delay it if you must. Why push out an unfinished product, so to speak? All right. So, next up, you mentioned the bugs as well. So let's get down to what happened with Wirim. I think he suffered the Miles Morales bug where he ate special after special, even though he should have gone invisible and just phased through all those specials. So, addressing that controversy as well. Should they have allowed, let's say, that fight to have been redone? Because they behind the scenes, they were actually monitoring all our fights. They were recording it, of course, before it was published, broadcast. So should the right call have been to, redo that portion, seeing as how it went that way?
Definitely. That definitely the way that was handled, I feel that wasn't the greatest. I definitely feel like they probably should have redone that fight, or you know, at least or redone the series, or something. But the way that that played out wasn't really too fair. So yeah, I definitely feel like that could have been handled
Mm,
much better.
that's right. I mean, either redoing that fight, if they managed to get the bugs addressed in that amount of time, which is not an easy feat. I would imagine getting a bug like that addressed would be in the next release, next build. So, but I would say, yeah, the main thing is to wait to ensure that if, let's say, William wanted to choose Miles again to ensure that fight did go according to plan. Just gotta wait, and then yeah, just redo that segment of his and things. I would say that really did affect him. Number one, I can only imagine the things that were going through his mind when he was like, "What? What is this? What just happened?" And I think in the read up, he did post on the forum that this affected his next few decisions moving forward as well, knowing that Miles wasn't working as intended. So that not only affected the outcome of that match, but also had downstream effects on the next upcoming matches as well. So not a good way to go out for him. But I mean, nothing taking nothing away from you as well, of course. I mean, bugs did affect the game. All right, your competitors, as you as well. I'm sure did encounter some bugs here and there, some input bugs, some lag, but you still pulled through. And for me, all right, bugs or no bugs, you are still the worthy champion to sit on the throne for this year, hands down. Which of course leads me to the next part. Um, how did you feel about this whole controversy regarding William as well? In that, I think what was published or what was broadcast on screen, pardon me, what was broadcast wasn't exactly what was communicated, you see, behind the scenes to William in terms of the discussion on what he fed back to them during the recordings. How do you feel that could have been better implemented by Kabam?
Yeah, they it definitely wasn't handled the best, I would say. Um, they if they were going to leave it as it was, they definitely probably should have addressed it in the video. The way that they did it was a bit interesting. Um, yeah, but I think they probably shouldn't have even let it go live like that. They probably should have just redid the series.
Mm,
If possible, if it wasn't, possible to do it right there and then, maybe, delay it even further
mm,
as long as the competition is fair.
that's right. I mean, take as much time as you need. Because at the end of the day, we want to give the viewers a good viewing experience. We want to make sure that this competition is, bugs wise, as seamless as possible as well. Yep. Okay, so next up, you've set the bar real high this year. What would you like to say to those who are aiming to be the next Happy McMuffins in 2022? What do they have to do to challenge you for your throne?
Um, well, I'd say make the Summoner Showdown and you know, beat me because I'm gonna be there.
All right, all right, all
Or
right.
at least I'm gonna do my best to get there.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yep. So definitely, all right. For all you would-be Happy McMuffins out there wanting to take next year's throne, you've got to firstly, yep, qualify, and then he'll be there waiting for you. You've got to bring your A game, and hopefully, you've got to pray to God, man, that your A game is strong enough to overcome Happy McMuffins. All right. Well said. All right. Okay, so, yep. Before we close, any last parting words to the community regarding this year's shenanigans or anything for that matter in MCOC? Any last parting words? for the boys out there, the boys and girls out there?
Well, I'd say that I appreciate everybody tuning in to the showdown. It was definitely an interesting year. A lot of silliness, a lot of shenanigans, and I hope that in the future, the showdown doesn't have those issues again. I believe that it would be more entertaining if the competition was, an equal and fair thing.
I completely agree. Well said, Happy. Well said. All right, so all right, in closing, I really want to thank you, Happy, once again for gracing us with your presence, fresh off your win from the Summoner Showdown 2021, a really worthwhile champion, and you basically beasted the competition this year, and you left no stones unturned. So you really deserve this win, and we're also happy that you took home the ultimate prize. So, once again, dude, a massive congratulations. And also, it's been really insightful peering to your mind and the mind of a champion. So, that's it from us, boys and girls. I really do hope you enjoyed tuning into this first episode of this series known as the Summoner Showdown, the Aftermath, where I interview, as you saw, Happy, as well as coming up next in the next episode, MSD, and then Anchor Danger, as we get to know more about what makes the heart of a champion tick. So, from me and Happy, that's all for now. This has been Sats signing off. I'll see you soon. Take care and peace out.